Thank you and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening and viewing our program. We do apologize. We are experiencing some technical difficulties at the TV station, so we're going to you live on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. As soon as those technical difficulties have been relieved, we will go back live to our TV, but we will continue our program as best we can this morning on our Facebook Live page. The following families would like to thank their many friends for all the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Mrs. Melissa Ann Fletcher Hogerbrook, age 57, of 101 Plantation Road, Cordial, Georgia, died Tuesday, July 29th at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Melissa Ann Fletcher Hogerbrook was held graveside on Friday, August 1st at the Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordial, Georgia. Her beloved brother-in-law, Reverend Joseph Hogerbrook, pastor of the Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church, officiated. Reverend Isaac H. Owens delivered words of comfort. Survivors include her loving and devoted husband, Deacon Alfred C. Hogerbrook of Cordial, Georgia, her beloved and adored daughters, Miss Chastity L. Hogerbrook and Miss LaShardazia Hogerbrook, her loving and devoted mother, Ms. Minnie Fletcher of Cordial, Georgia, her caring siblings, Mr. Tyrone Fletcher and his wife, Mrs. Vanessa Fletcher, Mrs. Brenda Green and her husband, Deacon Winford Green of Cordial, Georgia, Ms. Etta Fletcher of Riverdale, Georgia, Dr. Patricia Williams and her husband, Deacon Michael Williams of Cordial, Georgia, Mrs. Valerie Bateman and her husband, Mr. Jasper Bateman of Cordial, Georgia, Mr. Tracy Brown of Columbus, Georgia, Minister Preston Brown and his wife, Mrs. Stacy Brown of Albany, Georgia, Mrs. Denise Holloman and her husband, Mr. Matthew Holloman of Cordial, Georgia, Mrs. Patricia Mason and her husband, Mr. Raynard Mason, Mr. Kelvin Brown and his wife, Mrs. Loretta Brown of Salinas, California, Mr. Ashley Brown of Cordial, Georgia, Mr. Leon Brown and his wife, Mrs. Diane Brown of Cordial, Georgia, and Miss Kelly Fletcher of Jacksonville, Florida. Her beloved nieces and nephews, her loving and caring in-laws, many cousins, a host of other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive Mrs. Melissa Ann Fletcher Hogerbrook, age 57, of 101 Plantation Road, Cordial, Georgia. Mr. Larry Clemens, age 68, of 302 Keaton Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Wednesday, July 23rd at his residence. The funeral service for Mr. Larry Clemens was held Saturday, August 2nd in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordial, Georgia. Elder Harrison Coleman officiated. Survivors include his loving and devoted son, Mr. Roderick Anderson, and his wife, Mrs. Kim Anderson of Dallas, Georgia. 3 beloved grandchildren, Monet, Alana, and RJ. A loving sister, Mrs. Laura Lewis, and her husband, Mr. Donnie Lewis of Vienna, Georgia. A beloved brother, Mr. Glenn Clements, and his wife, Miss Tanya Clements of New Orleans, Louisiana. His aunts and uncle, Mrs. Dorothy Roach, Mrs. Idella Reed, and Mr. Edward Carr, all of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive Mr. Larry Clements, age 68, of 302 Keaton Street, Vienna, Georgia. Retired educator Reverend Easton Ray Lawrence, age 82, of 104 Georgia Highway 27 East, Americus, Georgia, died Sunday, June 22nd at the Phoebe Sumter Hospital in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for retired educator Reverend Easton Ray Lawrence was held Saturday, August 2nd in the sanctuary of the Sudbury Baptist Church in Montego Bay, Jamaica. The burial followed at the Lawrence Family Cemetery in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Barbara Patricia Lawrence, his loving and devoted children, Mr. Everton Lawrence, Mr. Emerson Lawrence, Mr. Irvin Lawrence, and Mrs. Emily Simpson, his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, 8 loving siblings, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive retired educator Reverend Easton Ray Lawrence, age 82, of 104 Georgia Highway 27 East, Americus, Georgia. United States Army veteran Mr. Gilbert Lamar Loftton, age 63, of 172 East 3rd Street, Araby, Georgia, died Wednesday, July 23rd at his residence. The funeral service with military honors for United States Army veteran Mr. Gilbert Lamar Loftton was held Saturday, August 2nd, in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordial, Georgia. Reverend Joseph Green, pastor of the Little Rock Baptist Church, officiated. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Mother Adeline D. Loftton of Araby, Georgia, his beloved brother, Mr. Jefferson Loftton, and his wife, Mrs. Mary Loftton of Dawson, Georgia, his loving sisters, Mrs. Ella L. Perry of Vienna, Georgia, Mrs. Brenda Austin, and her husband, Mr. Billy Austin of Fitzgerald, Georgia, and Mrs. Tania Gilbert and her husband, Dr. Toriana Gilbert of Richmond Hill, Georgia. Her brother-in-law, Deacon Fred Jones of Araby, Georgia, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive United States Army veteran Mr. Gilbert Lamar Loftton, age 63, of 172 East 3rd Street, Araby, Georgia. Again, the family of Mrs. Melissa Ann Fletcher Hogerbrook of Cordial, Georgia, the family of Mr. Larry Clemens of Vienna, Georgia, the family of United States Army veteran Mr. Gilbert Lamar Loftton of Araby, Georgia, the family of Reverend Easton Ray Lawrence of Americus, Georgia, would like to thank all of their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you, is their prayer. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. Mrs. Carrie Lee Youngblood McCormick, age 80, of 1177 Railroad Avenue, Rochelle, Georgia, died Tuesday, July 22nd, at her residence. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Wayne McCormick and his companion, Mr. Everett Wilson, Miss Deborah McCormick, and Mr. Seaward McCormick, all of Rochelle, Georgia. 4 beloved grandchildren, her loving sisters, Mrs. Leela Mae Youngblood Gibson, Mrs. Violet Youngblood Lester, and Mrs. Mamie Lee Youngblood Grace, all of Rochelle, Georgia. Her beloved brothers, Mr. Eddie Youngblood and his wife, Mrs. Ruby Youngblood, and Mr. Willie Youngblood, all of Rochelle, Georgia. A beloved aunt, Mrs. Esther B. West of Pitch, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends, to include Mrs. Barbara Benjamin and family of Rochelle, Georgia, survive Mrs. Carrie Lee Youngblood McCormick, age 80, of 1177 Railroad Avenue, Rochelle, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Carrie Lee Youngblood McCormick will be held today, Sunday, August 3rd, at 12 o'clock noon in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordial, Georgia. Pastor Aaron Johnson will officiate. The burial will follow at the Mount Air Church Cemetery in Pineview, Georgia. Mrs. Carolyn Ann Black Peacock, age 66, of 545 Gregory Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Monday, July 28th at her residence. Survivors include her loving and devoted husband, Mr. Henry Lee Peacock of Vienna, Georgia, a beloved godchild, Miss Diamond Black, her loving sisters, Mrs. Gertrude V. Bryant and her husband, Mr. James Bryant of Drayton, Georgia, Miss Jacqueline Black Hoyt of Unadilla, Georgia, Miss Earl Lois Billingsley, and Miss Bernita West, both of Vienna, Georgia. Her caring brothers, Mr. Calvin Black Jr. of Pinehurst, Georgia, Mr. Gerald Tyrone Black of McDonough, Georgia, Mr. Terry C. Black and his wife, Mrs. Salitha Black of Perry, Georgia, and Mr. Willie Lamar Black of Pinehurst, Georgia. Her aunts and uncles, Mrs. Annie Ruth Jordan of Vienna, Georgia, Mrs. Siobhan Jordan of St. Petersburg, Florida, Mrs. Burnett Jordan of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mrs. Ernestine Jordan of Orlando, Florida. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive Mrs. Carolyn Ann Black Peacock, age 66, of 545 Gregory Street, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Carolyn Ann Black Peacock will be held today, Sunday, August 3rd, at 4:30 p.m. at the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Cordele, Georgia. Brother Gary Towns of the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses will officiate. The burial will follow at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Mr. David Lee Mason Jr., age 32, of 170 Williams Lake Road, Cordele, Georgia, died Monday, July 28th. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Mrs. Mary Williams, and her companion, Mr. Johnny Johnson of Cordele, Georgia, his loving and caring father, Mr. David Lee Mason Sr., and his wife, Mrs. Helen Mason of Vienna, Georgia, his loving grandmother, Mrs. Sally B. Mason of Cordele, Georgia, his aunts and uncles, Mrs. Michelle Smith of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Jennifer Hill and her husband, Mr. Kenny Hill of Savannah, Georgia, Mr. David Williams and his wife, Mrs. Tierra Williams of Tampa, Florida, Mr. Felton Butts of North Carolina, Mrs. Veronica Mason of Valdosta, Georgia, Mr. Reginald Mason and his wife, Mrs. Patricia Mason of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mr. Freddie Mason and his wife, Mrs. Lenore Mason of Melbourne, Florida. A host of cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive Mr. David Lee Mason Jr., age 32, of 170 Williams Lake Road, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. David Lee Mason Jr. will be held on Tuesday, August 5th at 11 o'clock a.m. in the chapel of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. Overseer Annie Reynolds will officiate. The burial will follow at the Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be held on Monday, August 4th from 1 until 5 o'clock p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Deacon James Palmer Jr., age 89, of 902 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, July 24th at his residence in Miami Gardens, Florida. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Mr. Edward James Palmer and his wife, Mrs. Mary Palmer of Vienna, Georgia, Mr. Willie James Palmer, Mrs. Mary E. Coleman and her husband, Mr. Raymond Coleman, and Miss Brenda Palmer, all of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Angela Taylor and her husband, Mr. Willie Taylor, Ms. Wanda Ritchie, Mr. David Ritchie and his wife, Mrs. Robin Ritchie, Mr. Dwight Ritchie, Mr. Nicholas Ritchie and his wife, Mrs. Tanya Ritchie, Mr. Elliot Ritchie and his wife, Mrs. Stacy Ritchie, Dr. Alicia Ritchie, Mr. Alfonso Ritchie and his wife, Ms. Tamara Ritchie, and Miss Marianne Ritchie. A host of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. His loving sisters, Mrs. Frances Thingpen and her husband, Mr. E.J. Thingpen, Mrs. Mary A. Harris and her husband, Mr. Ron Harris, and Mrs. Annie M. Lester. His brothers, Mr. Henry Reynolds and Mr. J.B. Jones, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Deacon James Palmer Sr., age 89, of 406 West 7th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, residing at 902 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon James Palmer Sr. will be held Friday, August 8th at 10 o'clock a.m. in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. Pastor Johnny Dean, pastor of the New Poplar Spring Baptist Church, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be Thursday, August 7th from 1 until 5 o'clock p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. We again ask that you would bear with us as we're experiencing some technical difficulties here at the station. We're in an attempt to go back live to our station as well.